You're lying in bed. The lights are off. Somewhere in the house, something creaks. Your chest tightens before you even think about it. Your eyes strain against nothing. That's normal for you. A leftover reflex, nothing more. Now take that reflex, strip away the walls, the locked door, the street light outside your window. Put yourself on open ground, in the dark, with nothing standing between you and whatever else is awake right now. For most of human history, night wasn't just dark. It was a different world, with different rules, and you were not the one holding the advantage. A leopard needs about 6 times less light than you do to see clearly. While you're squinting at shapes, it's already watching you in full detail. Big cats can already hear a footstep you haven't even taken yet. Humans, by comparison, are basically walking around with the lights half off, bumping into a species built to hunt in exactly those conditions. And it wasn't a hypothetical threat. It happened over and over to people whose bones we've since dug out of the ground. So if the dark really was that dangerous, how did the fear of it become something you can just switch off with a light switch? Start with a single skull. Swartkrans Cave, South Africa. A juvenile hominin, dead about 1.8 million years ago. Its skull has 2 puncture holes, spaced exactly 33 millimeters apart. Paleontologist C.K. Brain matched that spacing to the lower canine teeth of a leopard. This wasn't an accident, and it wasn't an attack from another hominin. It was a kill. The child was carried off, probably to a tree, the way leopards still stash prey today. The problem this leaves you with is simple. If leopards were taking hominins on the ground, staying near the ground after dark wasn't just uncomfortable. It was a gamble with a documented body count. And it wasn't only what walked on 4 legs. Nearly 1 million years earlier, at a site called Taung, a different child's skull turned up with gouges and punctures around the eye sockets. Paleoanthropologist Lee Berger matched the damage to a crowned eagle, a bird strong enough to lift prey close to 30 kilograms, more than double what that child weighed. So the threat wasn't confined to the ground, and it wasn't confined to night either. It came from above in daylight and from the shadows after dark. That left your ancestors with a problem no single strategy could solve. You couldn't out-armor a leopard's jaw or outfly an eagle's dive. You needed something that worked against threats you couldn't even see coming. Here's the part your body still hasn't caught up on. Human eyes are built almost entirely for daylight, packed with the cells that give you sharp detail and color, but comparatively few of the cells built for dim light. A cat's eye needs roughly 1/6 of the light yours does to see clearly, thanks to a reflective layer behind the retina that humans simply don't have. So the moment the sun goes down, you're not just uncomfortable, you're functionally handicapped in a landscape shared with animals custom-built for exactly that moment. That gap between what you can see and what's stalking you is biologically the entire problem fear of the dark is trying to solve. The turning point was fire. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, researchers found burned bone and ash dated to roughly 1 million years ago. Controlled fire, set deep enough in the cave that wind, lightning, or wildfire couldn't explain it. A follow-up study pushed that timeline back even further, to as early as 1.79 million years ago. Now you might be thinking, fire is for cooking. That's the whole story. But cooking wasn't the only thing fire solved. It solved vision. For the first time, your ancestors could see past the edge of their own eyesight after dark, which meant, for the first time, night stopped being a pure blackout and became something survivable. Here's where it gets interesting. This pattern still shows up today in groups with zero exposure to electricity. A 2015 study tracked the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, and the Tsimane in Bolivia, 3 groups with no historical contact on 3 different continents. All 3, independently, stayed awake roughly 3 hours after sunset before actually sleeping. Not because they couldn't sleep sooner, because that stretch of time, lit by fire, spent together, was doing something the darkness alone couldn't. It was buying a margin of safety and using it on purpose. And what happened in that fire-lit window wasn't random either. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner recorded 174 conversations among the Juhuansi Bushmen, day and night. Daytime talk was almost all logistics and gossip, who did what, who owed who. But the moment the fire came out at night, the conversation flipped almost entirely to stories, myth, memory, imagination. The dark didn't just get survived, it got repurposed into the exact hours your ancestors used to build the culture, trust, and shared history that kept the whole group alive the next time something moved in the shadows. Here's the part that's still debated. Some psychologists argue your fear of the dark isn't fully learned at all, that it's closer to hardwired. A widely cited 2001 paper describes something researchers call a fear module, a fast, automatic response to threats that repeated themselves across millions of years of human history, including darkness, heights, and certain animals, one that can fire before your conscious brain even catches up. Not everyone agrees on how much of this is instinct versus experience picked up in early childhood, but there's a reason toddlers across wildly different cultures develop a fear of the dark at almost the same age without ever being taught to. Which brings you back to your bed at 2 a.m., heart already racing before your mind's caught up. You're not broken, and you're not being irrational. You're running a very old, very effective alarm system, built for a world with leopards in the grass and eagles in the sky, in a bedroom with a lock on the door and a phone flashlight an arm's length away. The dark hasn't changed in a million years. You're just the first version of yourself that's finally safe enough to sleep through it.